So probably going to pronounce this incorrectly, but Bagi 3 is the name of this film. I think that means rebel. One sentence summary: it's a Hindi action movie about a guy who does his brother's job of policing so good that the brother gets kidnapped by ISIS. Side note, have a look at the description on Wikipedia for this film. It's like they're not even trying. Could you beat the villain? So Abu Jalan is the Bin Laden-esque figure running a terrorist group in Syria that, may or may not be ISIS, certainly look like ISIS. And for some reason the group, they kidnap people from all over the globe, predominantly India in this film, and force the men to do suicide bombings, otherwise their families are going to get murdered, which is dark. But Abu has a younger brother, and he seems to care about him. If I were in this situation, I would kidnap that younger brother and see how Abu liked it. I don't think he would. Just a side note, really, more for the next section, but they should have kept the younger brother alive because he's basically the only person in the entire film who even landed a punch on Ronnie, so that would have been dramatic at the finale. Anyways, how do you improve the film? Continuity bugs me if it's wrong. I watched the first one of these the other day, and I really need to watch the second one because maybe it'll answer a few questions. But in the first one, Ronnie is sent to learn martial arts, what seems to be the wishes of his recently deceased father. But it turns out his dad died 15 years ago, and also his dad is a child beater, but also a hero. And in the narration at the end of the film, Ronnie says, some relationships are so strong, you will cross nations for them. In the first film, Ronnie goes to Bangkok to rescue a woman he doesn't even like. Ronnie and Vikram, the useless brother, set up a criminal so he can be shot whilst he is escaping. And I know the guy was a bad guy, but Jesus Christ, that's dark. He's barely reached puberty yet. He can't even grow a beard. What are you talking about? That guy's like 30. If you do your brother's job so good for him, you police the hell out of that town, and then the government think he's an absolute bloody legend, and they send him to Syria to sort trouble out. What do you think's going to happen if you don't go with him to do the policing that you've been doing for him? He's going to get kidnapped. Vikram is taken whilst he is talking on the phone to Ronnie, and it's, directly taken from the film Taken. He's like, well, good luck. We're a whole nation. Bullshit, you've got like 90 dudes. The Syrian cop who they meet later in the film is working against you, so, Speaking of things that were taken directly from other films, there was a bit where Ronnie shields himself from gunfire with the door of a helicopter, which was taken directly from that iconic scene in the film Wonder Woman. Watching the news, you would get the impression that Syria has been reduced to a wasteland due to the decade or so of war. And, some of the drone footage used in this film does actually seem to complement that theory. But I'm sure there are nicer parts to the country that haven't been totally ravaged. And maybe there are even commercial flights running there. The one really big thing that kind of confuses me about the whole setting and the theme, Abu is, running the equivalent of ISIS, so you would expect him to be a radical Islamist extremist. Even if, and they don't mention he's a Muslim, I don't believe, but even if he was like a radical Christian or a radical Jewish person or whatever, you'd think he'd be quite orthodox. So why is he hanging out at a club, which is probably serving alcohol? I don't know. But yeah, why is he hanging out at a club with like ridiculously attractive women dancing in bikinis? Doesn't really seem to fit, does it? Anyways. Also, we've seen that box of matches with the name of the club on it a couple of times in the film, but I don't think Ronnie had, so why was he all like, a clue? Yeah. You don't need to flash back to things that happened half an hour ago. And They didn't subtitle the song at the wedding, but from context, I would say the song was about love. And this highlights to me, like, arranged marriages just don't make sense in my head. I know it's a cultural thing, but like, Vikram had met the woman he was married like once, I think, and he didn't really even like talk directly to her. But he was all like, "Oh yeah, sweet, let's get married. I'm in love. Let's make babies and stuff." The female lead, who wasn't really a love interest, she was just kind of there. She has like 1,000 and something social media followers, but twice in the film she's shown to not have any signal on her phone. So how's she connecting to her public? Also, who is she? Why does anyone care? And Vikram turns up to his first day as a police cop and he's told to go and see Mr. Tripathi or something, some old cop dude. And then it immediately cuts to like a dead body in the street and then to the gangster man intimidating the cops, and it just felt like there was something missing in the middle there, because like it just went from, oh, talk to this friendly old man, murder and burning and death. Yeah, weird. The police are watching you. Look behind you. And then they look behind them, and it's the front door of the police station. That's not evidence that the police are following you. That's just there are policemen going in and out of the police station. Although the police were following them. Why is the Syrian cop dude so keen to follow the rules when he first meets Ronnie? And then later in the film, he's firing his handgun inside a club full of civilians. And then later on, he's letting the civilian like run his police operation. That was mental. And Abu was really reasonable at the end. He was like, fine, just take all the hostages and go. Stop causing all this trouble. And if he'd left it at that, he would probably still be alive today. But he didn't. But then he was just like, you take the hostages, but I'm keeping the woman for myself. Ha ha ha, evil. That was a mistake. You really should have thought that through, dude. So the terrorist guys are beating Ronnie with some steel bars and whatnot, and he's basically not even flinching. Which is strange, because at first I kind of suspected he was a Captain America-esque super soldier, but then, you know, he must be a Kryptonian or something, because he was fine. Anyway, he gets stabbed with a steel bar, and the female lead and the brother, they rip the steel bar out of his torso and then try and patch him up with a scarf. They don't seem to be medical professionals. Probably just leave it in there and call an ambulance or something. I hate to say it, but that whole bit with the helicopter was bullshit, okay? So number one, how do you get snuck up on by a helicopter? They are loud. Number two, why did the explosion from the helicopter missiles blow him backwards towards the helicopters? Number three, why was he hanging on to the helicopters, like going, as if they were travelling like 100 miles an hour, when they seemed to be just hovering in the same place? Number four, climbing on top of a helicopter is a stupid idea. That's where the rotors are. Number five, why did the helicopters explode when they were run over by a tank, but not when they crashed onto the ground? Why did ISIS have so much bunting in their town? That was confusing. And why did Abu, what's his name, change his clothes from like terrorist garb to military general garb? That was weird. And then why were some of their prisoners wearing like orange jumpsuits like Guantanamo Bay-esque people? And then why were some of them just wearing their regular clothes? I guess you can't jumpsuit everyone. And I can't be sure that this is what happened, but I'm relatively certain, because it was only on screen for like a second or so, but I think this is what I read. There's a police report that some dude hacks into to get the fingerprints of Abu's younger brother, and it's on a printout, so he hands it to Ronnie and whoever, and I think on top of that piece of paper it said Syria Police Station. Like, there's only one in the country, but that was weird. What was with the heroic sacrifice they gave to the people trafficker guy? He was right to point out that the families were there because like he'd kidnapped half of them. Fuck that guy. Let him get blown up by a landmine. Oh man, this Abu dude's really bad. Do we know what he's doing? Well, I think there are going to be some big terrorist activities tomorrow. But yeah, so he's going to blow up the embassy and a bunch of other places with one of these forced suicide bombers. And it seems weird to me that the the embassy was having some sort of party or soiree or function at like 10 in the morning, and the security that you saw there didn't check people for suicide vests. Anyways, also the police shot those two terrorist guys in front of that kid, and the kid's already been kidnapped. His dad's been forced to wear a suicide vest, and now he's just seen two people get murdered in front of him. He is gonna need some counselling. Oh well. And they pixelated a chopped off thumb. If you don't want to show it, just don't put it in the film. Yeah. Rating out of 5 beers, I'll give this a 2. It wasn't bad. It wasn't war, but you know what is these days.